Morning, Bones.
Morning, Padre.
And folks,
I
notice it
can't.
was not a good in either one of those mornings. Uh,
Uh,
over
five
the
is
weekend,
5 days after the fact. Put it that way. Uh,
yeah. And when we talk
Charlie,
about after the fact, we are talking about the brutal murder, assassination, senseless of Charlie Kirk right here in the state of Utah, Utah Valley University. Um, I don't think I've felt anything hit me like this in a long time, Bones.
it's a devastating issue. I know. Uh, I have listened to several of Charlie's sessions at the universities across the United States, and the man is and always will be one of the most intelligent and humble and gracious people that ever walked the face of the earth. And to have a person like that brutally shot and murdered in front of his wife and children just does not set right with me, and I'm sure a multitude of other people.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Bones. And I'm going to qualify something here. I will admit I wasn't an avid follower of Charlie Kirk. I had seen some of his things. He popped up on my timelines, and I'd see his little prove me wrong signs, and every now and again I'd listen to one of the little things, and I didn't realize how big Charlie Kirk actually was. I didn't know prior to this uh, how well traveled and how popular and what this guy actually stood for. And yet, that morning when the news came across, something inside of me felt a very deep loss. And I began watching, looking, investigating, and seeing and listening to what other people uh, were were commenting and saying. And I've got to tell you, man, the man was much bigger than any of us could have imagined.
He's driven by a force, an entity. He's driven by an entity. I'll call it that. That is larger than life. That's for dang sure. And his messages were true, to the point, uh, and without conviction. But he could turn a light on people inside their heads. You could just watch it happen in front of the microphone with his debates. His gentle way of talking to people. Um, there was one video, only one I seen him is personally threatened, and that's the only one video that I saw him get upset. And he got up out of his chair and was headed off the stage, turned around, came back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was a personal threat. So one in however many that he's done, you know, got to him. But you got to be a real special individual to sit there and take some of the abusive language and stuff that was thrown at him, yet turn around and have viable, factual information to talk back and help the individual try to realize where they're going wrong.
Right. You know, it's not like this guy was just walking down the street talking to random people, although he did that at times too. But going onto college campuses where you have to understand these are intellectual people, intelligent people that want to argue their side of the story. He would sit down and have debates with them and back up his side biblically, factually, without becoming upset. Most of the time. I mean, it was emotional, obviously, but As you said, he didn't become upset. And, I consider myself a fairly intelligent individual. Uh, I would never attempt to go sit down on a college campus and debate a point with a group of individuals. It took courage to go out there and share his message, and as you said, turn the light on in so many individuals, um, fact based with full confidence at 31 years old. I mean, the man was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how I could say enough about his intelligence, and wonder how he gained the knowledge and the ability to be able to do that. Because in my life, that's kind of what I've turned to from becoming clean and sober. Um, it's like I heard and I seen at first that where I am Charlie Kirk didn't set right with me at first because I thought there's only one Charlie Kirk. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he's an unbelievable man who was brutally killed in front of his wife and children. Um, his voice taken away. How can anybody say that they're Charlie Kirk? But then after realizing what the whole context of that statement is his thoughts, his ideas can continue through the voice of other people. We're not going to be quiet anymore. You know.
Well, and I think
Uh,
that's the way I look at that, Bones. The We Are Charlie Kirk. I am Charlie Kirk. Um, they they may have brutally murdered an individual, a man. That was the voice for many. Uh, People realized in that moment that that voice needed to be carried on, and that we can no longer sit silent and let these ideologies be spread. That we all need to become like Charlie Kirk and confront these ideologies publicly and head on. We can no longer remain silent. And they thought they shut down a voice. What they did was amplified that voice by millions because they woke a sleeping giant. They woke the people that Charlie Kirk represented the ideals and values of. And it they are no longer going to remain silent. You and I, obviously, we've been doing these podcasts, if you want to call it that, and putting our opinions out there. We've tried to stay as non-political as possible. We've tried to maybe tiptoe around some issues, but I think you're going to see a change because one of the things that resonated in me is I can no longer hold back. I'm going to have to express what I feel and what I believe.
yeah,
And
that's exactly it. So the truth is the truth. There is no other. Facts are the facts. There is no other. Um,
mm-hmm.
beliefs are beliefs. Hopefully there's a lot of people out there that think along the same lines, which I think there is. And I'd like to welcome them to join us in this effort of helping change the ideologies that aren't good for anybody. Um, just an invitation put out.
Right. And I think you're going to see more and more of that. And I know that I have seen so many podcasters, so many people jumping on TikTok, so many people now expressing their voice that I've never heard of. Um, Social media is being flooded with people coming on now and expressing their views and opinions. I mean, there have always been a few like us and that are even bigger than us that are out there and have been speaking their minds forever. But nobody had an audience like Charlie Kirk. This guy was followed by millions of people, and it shows.
Yeah, you know, speaking the truth and trying to put things in perspective for people is help. That's what it is.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
hopefully that can carry on and people will understand, you know, or get the message. And I'm gonna personally strive to help that happen and I will continue to watch Charlie's videos, even if I have to start over, you know,
Right.
because there's so much information in that.
Well, and as we express our emotion about Charlie Kirk, who he was, the devastation of this brutal murder, assassination, we kind of have to look at some of the other side, or not the other side. We have to look at why this happened, what caused it, who did it. They have this young man in custody, apparently confessed, uh, Tyler Robinson. You've got the left blaming the right blaming the left. It's turned into a political fiasco. Um, you've got the right now voices coming out and flat confronting the left for their violence and condoning and call for violence. The left trying to get out of it, saying, no, this guy was a conservative. He was raised with Christian values in a Christian community. He was obviously one of yours. And then you get the information coming out that he was dating a transgender that is undergoing the surgical procedures to change. That couldn't have set well with his Christian family and upbringing. Uh, the information that come out is that his father is the one that turned him in, possibly with some assistance from a pastor that helped convince him it was the right thing to do. And then you've got all this twisted information coming out that we still, you don't know what's factual and what's not. Several sources are saying that his father was a 27-year deputy sheriff veteran out of Washington County. You've got the sheriff's department saying that it was not their guy, it was somebody with the same name. You've got people claiming that they interviewed him about the specifics and that he was this 27-year veteran. Just that fact in and of itself, how is that getting twisted? Was his dad a veteran sheriff's deputy? Was he not? Not that that's an important fact.
Well, even the initial thing where they said that his dad got with the pastor of the church that they go to convince, and he was convinced to have Tyler confess and turn himself in. Um, then they said that he was LDS, right? There's not a pastor in the LDS church that
No,
I know of.
and they keep saying Christian values. Down in there he lives, very prominent LDS, but they're using words like pastor. And now is this just news sources that aren't aware of the terminologies of the religion, or was he actually Christian with a pastor? I'm sure those exist down there as well. But either way,
Yeah,
we're talking religious conservative values. And if this young man was gay or dating a transgender. This would definitely go against either religion.
Yes, yes, indeed it would. Um, and then they're saying that his roommate or the transgender person is cooperating fully with the police on the investigation.
And see, I
You know,
read he was uncooperative.
where I read Tyler's uncooperative, but the roommate is cooperating.
Wow.
Cooperating. So,
And there again,
so
conflicting stuff coming out of the press.
yeah, what's true, we don't know.
And the part, I think the biggest disgusting part of this are the people that have come out publicly celebrating this death, cheering this brutal assassination of a human being. You know, whether you agreed with his values or not, this was a brutal assassination. And for anybody that wants to try to come out and celebrate, cheer, say he deserved it, being fired from their jobs, high profile jobs, right and left, and rightfully so. It's just disgusting, man. I mean, what a display of letting us know who you are.
Right. I had an experience. I had a person that's near and dear to me reach out for that reason to me, wondering what to do in that environment at work where many far left people work. And they were supporting the assassination of Charlie. And they were saying they've never felt so out of place and didn't know what to do.
Mm.
Um, the only advice that I could give from my heart, from my thoughts, my feelings was let the left do what the left does. Try to stay humble and just do your work. Uh, they will destroy themselves.
Well, and it's
They did.
happening. It's happening. You know, you get there in Congress, and a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk was asked for, and Democrats booed it and denied it and argued, saying, "Where was the moment of silence for the school children that were brutally killed the same day? Where's the moment of silence for our people in Minnesota that were shot?" Um, and, and it's turned into a very political battle, um, which I don't understand how you can twist this. I had several people coming on, you know, oh, you're so worried about this assassination of Charlie Kirk. What about the shooting victims at the school the same day that it occurred? These were random acts of violence they occur and they're sad. And yes, I sympathize with those people, their families. Um, they were not specifically targeted for their values, beliefs, and their voice. These were senseless shootings. What happened to Charlie Kirk? Yes, it was senseless, but it wasn't a random act of violence. This was a
It was
targeted assassination.
a
Uh,
planned assassination. Yes.
and there's still question as to whether this young man, Tyler Robinson, acted alone. Uh, I don't know. I mean, we're getting slammed with a plethora of information. Some of it true, some of it false. Uh, we hear about inscriptions and writings on the shell casings. Um, the most accurate ones I can find, and then they were thrown into out of context. They talk about Boom Boom Chow, and they claim that it was a song that was an anti-fascist song. Boom Boom Chow, and they even referred to it as being sung on Money Heist. I actually went in and watched that last night to get the context. Boom Boom Chow had nothing to do with fascism. Boom Boom Chow is talking about men taking care of men sexually and not needing women. Boom Boom Chow, we're going to have sex and see you later. We're taking care of things. Had nothing to do with fascism. There was also an inscription on one of them, noticing the bulge. Ooh. Uh, these are all terminologies that are used among the LGBT community. Um, there was another one. He was an avid gamer, and it was, arrow, left arrow, right arrow, down arrow, up arrow, whatever the combination was, which came from this video game he played, and it was the code for drop the bomb. They've been into this young man's Discord. They've found conversations. They're digging into this. Uh, is this a conspiracy? Because that's what it's being thrown out as now. Not a single man acting out his rage. But what do you think, Bones? Are there others involved? Is this a conspiracy? Is this just one man acting alone?
It very well possibly could be a conspiracy, or at least multiple persons involved in planning this and putting it together, especially with his interactions on the internet sites and stuff that they are now digging into. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know the outcome of it, but it's very well possible that it could be more than one involved in planning this.
Well, I had
And maybe,
questions right off the get go. There's video of the sniper on the roof and running across the roof and jumping down. Some of these videos were taken before the act. How did security not see it? I would like to know how this guy got a rifle onto a college campus, into a locked building, up onto the roof,
oh
undetected.
yeah,
Uh,
they got video of him walking across the lawn with a limp, like, and it looked
right.
kind of looked like something was stuffed down his pants. So could that have been the rifle? Was it disassembled? Did he have to put the Mauser together on top of the roof? There's all these questions. You know,
Right. And then people are saying, oh,
uh,
he disassembled it before jumping off the roof, yet it was found assembled. He wouldn't have taken the time to assemble it. Well, how do we know it was disassembled on the roof? Um,
yeah, we don't
I,
know that.
I want
We
to
don't
know
know
how
that.
we got on that roof. I want to know why security did not spot him on that roof prior to the incident. I want to know why security didn't have that covered. Strangely suspicious to the Trump shooting, where the shooter was on a rooftop, and security said, oh, we couldn't put people up there because it was a slope to the roof. Uh, Another coincidence being thrown out, or not coincidence, but theory being thrown out. Hand signals from the guy in white behind him, who apparently is one of his very best friends. Uh, were they military hand signals? Was this guy in on it? And then the guy in black, his head of security. I've seen pictures. Now, again, are these AI generated? Is it conspiracy? I've seen pictures where they show this gentleman in black, and he was giving signals, standing just behind Charlie Kirk. And then they show a picture of the what appears to be the same man standing behind President Trump when the attempted assassination took place on him. Um, is this information accurate? I don't know. What do you think, man? There's just a lot of stuff being thrown out here.
Yeah, I don't know what is accurate and what isn't, and I don't know if they'll ever get to the bottom of all of that. But uh, I think that they have the person that pulled the trigger. I think that. Um, Conspiracies and things that are coming out, I have no idea whether or not they're true. You know, it's all speculation until it's proven.
Well, exactly. You get a plethora of information coming out with different information, contradicting information. There are the strange things, a book coming out on Amazon about the murder of Charlie Kirk uh, that is released the day after it occurs on Amazon. You've got people saying it takes 72 hours to publish a book, and you look at the published date on it, and it is September 9th. This event took place on September 10th.
And Amazon said that that was a misquote. That's what Amazon said. You know,
Okay.
so
So you've
whether or
got
not
that. And then you've
I
got
don't know how
this
that could be.
this Sky Valdez character out of Ogden who looks strangely similar to the photographs of the shooter uh, on campus and the videos of the shooter on campus. That on his social media account had actually published a song said Charlie Kirk dead at 31. Shortly after this brutal assassination occurred, took down the account. Um, and I think this guy's been identified now. Um, Maybe, coincidence. I don't know. There's just a lot to swallow on this. But
Yeah,
I digress, man, because we as a society, and we're finding ourselves doing it right here, getting lost in the why it happened and in the misinformation coming out, the conspiracy theories coming out, and the investigative part of it. Let us not lose sight and pay respects to this legendary debater and spreader and voice of truth that was lost to us as a result of this brutal assassination.
yeah. You know, for myself, the focus will be on Charlie Kirk and his family and the messages that Charlie strived to put out. Um, I don't really want to put much salt into anything else personally, unless they can come up with some actual facts that prove what they're saying. Other than that, it's all rhetoric to me.
Right. And it's, to me, it clouds what we should be focused on. Uh,
And that's
and
that.
and
That's been
yet this is where we're being directed through the media and
yeah.
social media.
That's been the tactic for quite for many years. That's been the tactic on the media. So you take focus off what is real and what is true.
Right. So what we do know is that the world may have lost the physical body of this truth speaking voice, but the voice itself will never be lost. And it actually spreads the message wider to more people like myself that may not have followed Charlie Kirk, but now am digging and delving and watching what he has to say. I'm watching people around me that had never heard of him now going in and reviewing and following all of his videos. His message is spreading to so many more people in his death than it ever did while he was alive.
Yeah, it may be a revolution that gets everybody back to the basics of life and what it's all about, rather than and all of this other rhetoric crap that's going on, and ideologies that are wrong and being taught to the youth. Hopefully that we can bring it home and we can teach our youth the right way, the right things, and enforce it in the home, I hope.
Get back to traditional values, which is what Charlie Kirk was about. Traditional values, Bible based. He was a very strong believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. A lot of his argument came straight out of the Bible and Bible verses. Uh, that's what America used to be. And those traditional values, I think there is a movement at this point as a result of this event across not only the nation, but the world. I have seen masses of people in other countries standing up. We are Charlie Kirk. The message is out. And I can only hope that this is the direction it takes.
Yeah, I have a strong belief that this is what's going to happen. Of course, you're always going to have an opposing view, but I think that the multitude of people will grow on the proper side of things. That's what I think.
So, in the death of Charlie Kirk, rises his voice. Uh, from PadreHavoc&Bones, man, I'll continue to try to watch what's going on with this investigation and hope that the people responsible are held accountable. But for me, the focus is going to be on Charlie Kirk, the message he had, and making sure that message and that voice does not die.
Yeah, get on the YouTube and pull up some Charlie Kirk videos and see the positive that's involved in what he was trying to spread. That's my message for the positive side of things. So work on that, stay positive.